for joining me. This is Dean from Worldwide Trekking, and I wanted to share a summer update on what we've been up to over the year, since the new year. It's been a busy summer, and what I'm going to do is share my screen. Okay, I'm currently in Dubai. I've been busy all summer, leading trips around the world, which I'll go over here shortly, and I'm on my way to Nepal. I just finished in the European Alps and I am in Dubai. This is actually not a picture I got off the internet of Dubai. This is right outside of my door here, outside of the sliding glass door behind me, off of my balcony. Pretty amazing in a lot of ways, and very out of my zone, I think. But I do have a couple days before I have to be in Kathmandu. So I have an apartment here to catch up in the office and didn't have quite enough time to get home. And I went skydiving today, which was really pretty fun for me. I've never done it before. And it was a beautiful view of the city and the big palm out in the water. And I'll have some video and some photos of that after the next couple days. But I wanted to catch up about Worldwide Trekking, our planet. We guide it, you trek it. And it's been really fun, as always, to get people around the world on adventures and, accomplishing goals and seeing the world and learning about cultures and history of areas and connecting with the local people, which I love to do so much. It's part of the reason I travel, and also part of the reason that Worldwide Trekking has our sister nonprofit, the Human Outreach Project. I'll go over what we are doing currently with the Human Outreach Project and what we've done over the summer, as well as I go through the different destinations. All of it really would not be possible without our staff. Our team around the world is amazing. We have operations managers in all the areas that we run and do travel. And we have big teams depending on what our needs are in different areas around the world as well. We do a lot of training. We customize things. We run our own logistics and operations, and it really helps Worldwide Trekking craft the perfect trip. We don't just resell pre-made trips from overseas. We craft and cater each one. Also super important, our team in the office. It wouldn't be possible without the team that we have in the office. They really keep our guests in the know and help answer questions and get people signed on for trips. And oftentimes these trips are something that people are unfamiliar with, and the team is their first point of contact in making sure that they're going to show up prepared, feel confident, and ultimately have a great journey wherever we go. So I like to thank our overseas teams and, of course, our team at the Worldwide Trekking headquarters based in Salt Lake City, Utah. And our building has come along real nice this year. We added the retaining wall and driveway, and I can finally say, after multiple years working on the building, that it is complete. And I do want to thank our team for their support and their patience as we went through the long process of remodeling and rezoning that property. As I said, I just got back from the European Alps. I was finishing in Chamonix 2 days ago when I flew here to Dubai, and we ran 4 trips through the European Alps. I'll go over those. And if I go back to the start of the new year, in January, we ran our first Mount Kilimanjaro trip. Everybody made the top. It was a great group. We had a lot of fun. We rang in the new year from Uhuru Peak on the summit of Kilimanjaro at 19,341 feet. And that was our very first trip this January. Shortly after that, I went from that cold climate on the top of Kilimanjaro to the British Virgin Islands, where we ran 2 sailing trips in the Caribbean down there. Beautiful boat. That is our boat. Drone shot that I took of an island called Sandy Cay down there in the British Virgin Islands on our way over to Virgin Gorda. These are 7-day trips that are just fantastic. I cook all the breakfasts, all the lunches, and 3 dinners, and then the crew goes to shore 3 nights, like the lower left-hand picture there, enjoying lobsters on Anegada, snorkeling, stand-up paddle boarding, sea kayaking, exploring the different islands. There's a lot to see and do down there, and a lot of fun for a nice late winter getaway in the Caribbean. This year we did scout a new trip in April. I went over to Ireland, and we've added this trip to our calendar. They're filling up fast. One is completely full, two is on its way, and then a third one will be added if we need to. But I went and scouted a trip trekking from village to village on the Dingle Peninsula, the furthest westernmost point in Ireland. We fly into Cork and out of Cork, Ireland at the end. And it's just really great. I really enjoyed the Emerald Isle. So, we're going from village to village. We're staying in bed and breakfast each evening, eating at small pubs, and it's really a great way to see the country, or a small portion of the country, actually. We do have a support vehicle that we'll be using for this. The days are quite long in distance, but the terrain is kind of rolling hills on the sea like this, pubs and small villages. And the support vehicle will enable us to be able to have people maybe shorten the days. So a day that's 10 to 14 miles could be reduced down to nothing at all, or 5 miles or 8 miles, or whatever people choose. I had perfect weather while I was there, which was nice. But if we did have rainy weather, it would also give people support if they wanted to shorten their day. But the Dingle Peninsula is awesome. The people were so friendly and nice, and all the pubs, a lot of talking and great conversations with local people along the way, staying in these bed and breakfasts, seeing these different small villages, learning about the history of the area. Really, really an amazing trip. We're excited to offer it this spring. And the castle up there on the right is Blarney Castle, and that's the home of the Blarney Stone. We make a stop by there on the end of the trip to, of course, kiss the Blarney Stone, which was kind of fun. I'd say that this one's a little off the beaten track of all those castles and the Cliffs of Moher and things like that. They're a real big tourist destination, and it was really nice to have so many days of peaceful walking on the trails, through the farmland, through the small towns, and not really be with the big tour bus groups and things like that. So nice new trip over in Ireland. You can check the website for exact dates, but we're excited to offer it this year. After that, in the springtime, I went over to Tanzania, Africa, one, to check in on some of our hot projects, our human outreach project programs, and we're doing a lot of construction. But another thing that we wanted to do was teach the wilderness first responder emergency first aid course. And it went very well. We had 40 people in attendance, all people from our team in Tanzania. We had some of our mountain crew, we had some of our safari drivers, but we also had a number of staff from the Kilimanjaro kids community. And the more that I thought about it, with my experience at Snowbird on the ski patrol for years and years, having emergency first aid training is so important, especially anywhere we are, but especially in Tanzania, where there's no real emergency response system. We have 35 children at the Kilimanjaro kids community, and our staff and our team, and we equipped first aid kits throughout our property, even an AED, auto defibrillator, and all the knowledge to use everything and do some great training. So we hosted this course. We brought over CPR mannequins. We did basic life support. We gave lectures, and we gave a lot of practical lessons. The practical lessons are critical because in first response, it's really about feeling confident and getting your hands in there and working on people and patients and mocking scenarios and things like that. So we got everybody certified with their wilderness first responder, and it's just great for all of their families and all of the team at the Kilimanjaro Kids community and our children, as well as our mountain teams and people that go on safaris and everything else. So it really, really was a great course. The guys and gals over there really appreciated it, and they were so interested, great students, and they learned so much over the week that we did that. As well, this summer, we continued with the Human Outreach Project running our Hop Outdoors program. This ran throughout the summer. Trent White, one of our guides, ran this program. It would run all week long with children from at-risk areas of Salt Lake City, taking them up to Snowbird for the day, having a picnic lunch, taking a tram ride, doing some hiking, learning about the outdoors. And it's really a great program. It's very interesting in talking to Trent, because I did not attend any of these programs, that there's some children that come back again and again and really are interested in doing it. So it's great. They're great trips. Hop Outdoors runs throughout the summer. I'd like to thank Snowbird Resort, Ski Resort, Utah Food Services, the North Face, of course, and everybody that helps us put that together. It's a great day for these children right from Salt Lake City. As well, we ran trips in Iceland. Iceland's fantastic. We ran a number of trips up there. Iceland's another one of those places that there are many tour operators that lead trips through the Golden Circle and the very popular areas of Iceland. I really like to think what we do and know what we do in Iceland is very different than those operators, in the fact that we use these large vehicles to give us access into more remote places. We can go and explore areas off the beaten track. They're equally as beautiful to so many of the popular tourist destinations when we really venture out into Iceland and see some of the surrounding areas. So we start in Reykjavik and end in Reykjavik, and get out there and do a lot of exploring waterfalls, glaciers, icebergs, volcanoes, and everything in between. Just a really fantastic hotel-based trip, and a lot of great restaurants that we visit in the evening for dinner, and a lot of great outdoor sites to see on our trip in Iceland. As well, this summer, I didn't get down there, but we ran a number of trips to Machu Picchu, Peru, and the lost city of the Incas. We do this a few ways. Our most popular is lodge to lodge trekking, where we trek from one lodge to the next and stay in really nice accommodations. We'd say luxury mountain accommodations. No sleeping bag needed, beautiful rooms, in-suite bathrooms, a hot tub, massage services, great food and dining, and also great way to explore the Andes down there in Peru. And we ran a number of these this year as well. We do a camping trek. We did a camping trek this year, and that's taking people on a similar route, but using tents and camping. Of course, the price point is a little less when you're camping than staying in the luxury lodges. Either way, you make it up over the Salcantay Pass. In this picture here on the left, it's up in here. That's the high point, just about 15,000 feet. And then we make our way back down and eventually come into Aguascalientes, which is the Machu Picchu village. We do a hike in the morning from there up to the Sun Gate, and then we come down into the Machu Picchu archaeological site, and there we do a guided tour with our local guide, explaining all of the sites that we're seeing. And some people even venture, if you can see my pointer here, up Huayna Picchu here to the top. We get the permits for that as well. It's steeper, but there is a narrow staircase that goes up there, and it's really a nice add-on if people haven't had enough hiking on the way into Machu Picchu. One thing that's really interesting in Peru, I think, is that on our Machu Picchu trip, there's so many more Inca sites like Ollantaytambo and even the Sacred Valley, other areas that we see along the way, not just getting to what people would consider the highlight, Machu Picchu itself. The days prior to that, and the Ende and Cusco are just fantastic. We also visit Huaraz, Peru. We do climbing trips down there. We had a climbing trip in the summer as well on Xinca. And in the villages up there where it's more remote, we do some of our human outreach project programs in Pashpa Village, in Hairapampa Village. And these are photos from when we do our chocolatada over the winter time, right around the Christmas holiday, which they celebrate. We provide the traditional Christmas festivities for the villages, which would be like a chocolate drink and some food and then some toys for the boys and girls in those villages, that they would not celebrate any holiday at all if we didn't help support them during these times. So really great climbing down there, trekking. We do a trek down there as well called the Santa Cruz Trek. We have a lot of them that aren't actually on our website, but there's ones that we do for people that have been with us before that want to venture out and see some new things that they might not see on our site. This is in Tanzania, Africa, a couple years ago, actually, doing our annual HOP Human Outreach Projects safari with all of our children from the Kilimanjaro kids community, as well as our team and their children. Many of our mountain guys bring their children. And this year we had, might be the next, well, it's coming up, a huge event this year as well. It's grown every year. This is our Kilimanjaro kids community. It's our 5 acres there in Tanzania, very close to the mountain itself and not far from the international airport. And we've been doing more and more things over there. This was the land that we purchased in 2009, just a barren piece of land. There was not many other buildings out there. We had no water, we had no power. And boy, every time I'm there, I think of these photos and I think of what it was like to be there at this time. This was us putting up the very first building, using donkeys to bring in water to mix the concrete on the ground, and slowly, slowly, as we say in Tanzania, pole pole means slowly, slowly. Over 3 years, we had a facility that we could actually have recognized by the government and approved, and then bring children in and start to take in our children and make our family at the Kilimanjaro kids community. This is just a couple years ago. Actually, I had this drone shot I threw in here. You can see Mount Kilimanjaro here in the background. And now this is our 5 acres in here. We have a guest house in the back right here where we have oftentimes people that come over. We ran one last year. One is actually filling up for this summer in June, where people come over and they stay at the guest house. They work on a project at the Kilimanjaro kids community. And as well, they do a couple other programs that we offer over there with school lunch programs. We have 2, and they do a safari day, and it's just a really great time for them. I think that trip runs about 10 days. We have chickens and cows and goats, and we have tilapia fish pond, rainwater collection. It has really become an amazing facility over the years. You can see some of the bikes that we got from Cool Clothing a couple years ago. We put in a bike track this last summer with some of the volunteers that came over and worked, so the kids have a good track to ride around on. And it's just such an amazing facility. I think some of the big news there was we got 2 new children this year. We got a 9-year-old girl, and the one in the middle, Precious, she's our youngest, 1.5 years old. It seemed to me that every time I held her, she screamed a lot. So I didn't hold her too much, but she was really, as her name says, precious, just unbelievable. And all of our kids are doing great. They're in school, they're learning. And the other big news I'd say is, after all these years, our first 2 children, one girl, Jessica, and one boy, Nehemiah, graduated high school, and Nehemiah is going to the African Wildlife College in hopes to become a certified safari driver, and Jessica's in computer science school. So it's really great that they've gone through their learning and they've come such a long way. I'm so proud of them, and they've just really have done well in school and are now even furthering their education. This is one of our Tanzania programs where we do a school lunch program. We have 2 school lunch programs at public schools in the area where the children have no meal during the day. And for years, we've run programs. We started a second one a few years ago. These school lunch programs feed over 2,000 children lunch every single school day. And you can see the kitchen there that we built on the right-hand side. All the kids at the Mbakui school having their lunchtime meal, the big kettles that they cook the food in on the lower right. And basically, what we do is buy a year's supply of beans and corn. You can see the woman on the right up high cooking the beans and corn. The students are helping her out. They take turns. Then students take turns getting the plates out and serving the food, and then all the kids have a nice hot meal midday at each one of those schools. It's been an amazing program. You see the bags of beans and corn, the 5-gallon jugs of cooking oil, and we get them everything they need, and they run a great school lunch program so those children have lunch. Their test scores have gotten better, their attendance has gotten better, and as far as staying in school all day. But in the Makiyuni school, the attendance went from about 700 children to over 1,000 children within just a couple years. And we're seeing the same number increase with the Mbakui school, which is the second school lunch program that we started over there. We went on our first trip, we had a Climb for Kids climb on Kilimanjaro. The climb is basically the same. We just, on the pre-trip day, we went and visited the school. On that day, they knew that we were coming in. You could see everybody in the background there. It was summertime, so their school was mostly out, but a number of children still come to school over the summer to study and get a hot lunch. And they had brought in some of the community leaders and presented us with a thank you kind of plaque that we have at the Kilimanjaro Kids community. And also they presented me with a goat there in the middle. So they gave us a goat. They gave me a goat, and I was really thrilled with that. It was really fun. And then we brought the goat back to the Kilimanjaro Kids community where it now lives. And they performed a number of traditional dances and singing for us. It was a really nice day there. Then after that climb, we bring all of our kids, as I said, on their Human Outreach Project annual safari. It reaches far and wide. We have our 35 children at the KKC. We have our team. We have their children. We invited a number of guys that are our core group from the mountain, and they can invite their families. And we have this really great 2-day safari. We go out in the afternoon, we have a pool party, and then the next day we go into the Ngoro Conservation Area. This year we had over 140 people and 25 Jeeps that went on safari. It was just a fantastic day. And this is so important because our children and these local people that work and live in Tanzania don't have the opportunity to do this ever. And is so exciting for them and so fun to share the reason why over 1.5 million, 2 million people visit their country every year as tourists. They can go and we can go and have this great event, taking them on a safari, and the kids really love the pool as well. Then we also ran 2 climbs on Mount Kilimanjaro this summer. We had 2 groups back to back after that January trip. And here's our team. One of the things that's really important to worldwide trekking is to make sure that our teams are well taken care of. All of our mountain team have full uniforms, shell jackets, shell pants. We make sure that everybody has good footwear, comfortable sleeping bags, things like that, to make sure that they're all going to be safe as well going up on the mountain, taking care of our guests. And it really makes a better experience all the way around. It's important to take care of your local teams wherever you are. It's also important to build that teamwork mentality that reaches from our overseas guys that are working with the guests that are coming to have the adventure of a lifetime. So I'll have our cooks here in the dining tent, cooking all the meals, and our camps well appointed with flushing toilets and 4-person, 4-season north face tents, a huge dining dome. We do little things like number the tents so people know which one's theirs when they arrive at camp, when they get up in the night to use the restroom, or knowing that they have the same tent every single day of the trip, and they're not sharing tents with everybody else on the trip. They're assigned a tent, they get the same tent every single day. And those little details make a huge difference. When you've climbed Kilimanjaro like myself so many times, it makes a huge difference. So our dining tent's super comfortable. You can see our group there having a great lunchtime meal. We set the dining tent up for lunch, dinner, breakfast in the morning. It's always set up. And when we stop, even midday, we put the tent up so people have a table and chairs. They can sit down, rest, relax a little bit, acclimatize at the higher altitude wherever we are, and then we continue up and on to the camp. So this is some photos from the first climb. There's our team that made the top. We have great success rate as usual and safety rate. You can see our guys on the mountain all in their uniforms looking good and really comfortable to be up there on Kilimanjaro. It's also nice for our teams to recognize our team of mountain crew in uniform, because then they know that they're with them, especially in the summit night when it's dark out, and they see and identify the guys in red with the Worldwide Trekking logos. That's our team, and it really makes it. Those little things make a huge difference on a mountain. And I would say that Kilimanjaro is more difficult than most people kind of think. Can it be done? Yes, we have an extremely high success rate. Most everybody that goes over there makes the top, but it doesn't come without a lot of planning and hard work and training prior, showing up prepared with your gear, and making sure that you're all those things lead up to a great experience on the mountain. And it's good to help people dig deep, one foot in front of the other on that summit night, which is the hard part, make their way up to 19,341 feet. You can see Bima lower left, or on the left there, doing our morning call, handing in hot drinks into the tent, followed by washing water and hot towel so people can freshen up and clean up while they're packing their duffel bags and before they come out to the dining tent. Our second group was a large group from an alumni association. We worked with Stanford a lot. We had a group at Stanford on the second Kilimanjaro climb, 100% success on that trip as well. Really nice. And lower right is one of our guys on the first trip doing that international sign of "I'm having a great day," and just really finishing strong there. That's the last little bit coming off the trailhead. And I think everybody that does this feels extremely proud, and they should, because it's something that they work hard for and they earn themselves. And it's really, really cool to see so many people experience Mount Kilimanjaro. After my second climb, I've been climbing Kilimanjaro for 20 years, and 100 climbs on Kilimanjaro or so. I kind of lost count, but what I have noticed is with increased traffic, increased numbers on Mount Kilimanjaro, we're seeing a lot of increased trash and litter left behind. And just like a lot of our programs, they're started when you see a need or you see something that needs to be addressed and you take action. So we started this campaign called the Keep Mount Kilimanjaro Clean campaign. I met with the Park Service there and I told them, the mountain is really seeing a change in the trash left on it, especially at the camps, especially at the high camps, and especially on the route to the summit, all the break spots as well. But we started this. We are currently right now, as I speak, running our third team on the mountain. They go up with about 50 guys for 10 days and clean the mountain. They use tongs and they're picking up energy bar wrappers and hand warmers and juice boxes that are left behind. A lot of people, unfortunately, get lazy at high altitude, and they're up there picking things up and going one route at a time. There's 7 routes on Kilimanjaro. They're addressing and focusing on each route. And on the first 2 cleaning missions, we have removed over 3,000 pounds of energy bar wrappers and hand warmers and juice boxes. And you can imagine how much stuff that is to equal 3,000 pounds. Our next step right now, we're doing another cleaning campaign, a 10-day push right now. They'll be back off the mountain in about a week. And big number of cleaners up there. And our next push is I'll be going over in early November to visit the National Park Service, also attend to some other HOP programs, and we'll be, sitting down and going over how we can keep this campaign going, but also how we can educate and raise awareness to the culprits, which is mostly tourists. Of course, some local guys. We have a lot of big crew there, but the combination of the both is really starting an awareness campaign that helps remind people to not drop trash on the ground, basically, and how long it takes for a bottle or a juice container or a hand warmer to decompose. Hundreds and hundreds of years. A banana peel at high altitude takes over 2 weeks to decompose, or longer if it's very cold. So it's really been successful. They really appreciate it. And I see this as something that really is us partnering up with the local mountain national park and helping them in a situation that they really need the support on. And it's making a difference. It makes a difference to our guests and guests on the mountain to see an environment that's not littered with trash. Also, the ecosystem, the plant life, and the animal life. They're eating things they shouldn't, things like that, contaminating water sources. So many levels here in so many ways make a huge difference. And we're doing it, one mission at a time, and hopefully going to educate people to make better choices when they're maybe a bit tired up high and drop a hand warmer on the ground. Most of our groups that go to Kilimanjaro add on a safari. We do a lot of standalone safaris, 6 and 10 day safaris. Most everybody goes on at least a 4-day safari when they finish a Kilimanjaro climb. You can see our open top Land Cruiser vehicles, super comfortable and safe, and you can see lower right, the lions right around it, to view the wildlife up closely. And Tanzania has amazing wild game parks. These are some of our safaris going out this summer, staying in beautiful accommodations, multiple Land Cruiser vehicles. We had a number of safaris go out throughout the entire summer, some standalone, and mostly after the Kilimanjaro climbs. Other add-ons that people did this summer was do regularly is to go mountain gorilla tracking in Rwanda. You can see the great ape there on the left-hand side. That's in Rwanda. They go over there on a 4-day add-on to Kilimanjaro or safari to see the mountain gorillas, or going out to Spice Island, the Spice Island of Zanzibar, off of the coast of Tanzania. It is part of Tanzania, but it's an island off there. Beautiful white sand beaches and really a nice way to complete your time in Tanzania, Africa. We had a number of people doing that throughout the summer months on our Kilimanjaro climbs or safaris as an add-on. I spent a lot of time in the Alps this summer, August and September both. Ran 4 groups throughout the summer. Our group size there is 12, unless it's a special group, like a special type of private trip, which we did this summer, one of those. But we trek, we arrive in Geneva, Switzerland. We go over to Zermatt, Switzerland for 2 days. We go to Verbier and then Aosta, Italy for 2 nights. Then we go to Courmayeur, Italy for 2 nights. Then we go to Chamonix for 2 nights. So they see Switzerland, Italy, and France. We stay in beautiful hotel accommodations. We have our own private vans to make our daytime journeys after our hikes. And we can explore mountain villages. We do a lot of mountain hut lunches. We have a lot of great restaurants in the evening, and it is really fun. I really enjoyed all 4 groups this summer. You can see the Matterhorn in the lower left-hand side, looking down into Courmayeur, Italy from our hike. Some really neat huts. Upper right, really great picnic spots. We do some picnic lunches. We do some mountain hut lunches, and just fantastic hiking every day and really fun alpine villages to explore. We do some lift assisted hiking here, where we'll take the lifts up high into the alpine terrain above the tree line and hike up high. Some days we don't need to do that, and we'll hike from the village or a trailhead up to a refugio hut or something and have lunch, and then return back down to our village and our hotel in the evening at the end of the day. But really had a fun time on all the trips. You can see left side being the gondola going up to do a lift assisted hike. We have a train ride that we do from Zermatt down to the train station in Tosh at the end of our time in Zermatt. Matterhorn there on the right, and just some fantastic hiking throughout. This is the Elisabetta hut in Italy on the upper left, a really nice church on the right, and in the center, a hike there that we do from France into Switzerland and back to France at the end of the day. And you can see the Mont Blanc on the left. So this is the Matterhorn at the beginning of the trip, to the Mont Blanc at the end of the trip. Switzerland, Italy, and France. It was fantastic. All our groups had a great time. The Alps can have different kinds of weather. We've had some rainy days, we have some sunny days, we have all kinds of days, but we get out every single day, and we really make the most of it and have a really fun time. And the weather is generally nice, but when you do 4 trips in a row for 9 days each trip, of course, you run into a couple days where you're putting on all the gear and getting out there and enjoying wearing all the gear that you bought and have with you on the trip. As well, we ran some Southern Utah trips this spring, and we do have 2 coming up right now in this month, and we run those through the 5 national parks in Southern Utah: Zion, Bryce, Capitol Reef, Arches, and Canyonlands. We also visit some of the other sites like the San Rafael Swell. We visit a lot of Native American rock art sites, dinosaur tracks, some historical sites like pioneer cabins and historical sites like that. We have our Sprinter van, our 14-passenger Sprinter van on the left-hand side. Great viewing out the windows for the drives. The drives are all really, they're dotted nicely through Utah, so they're not super long, hour and a half or so after your day of hiking, and you're at your next place ready to go into the next national park. This is a 9-day trip, and it's really fun. We pack a lunch every day that people bring in their backpack. We stay in really nice accommodations, like the one in the upper right here, and hotel based each night out there in exploring the parks and everything else throughout the day. So you see some of the Native American rock art there on the lower right as well, and center in in the photo there is a hike that we do down in the Needles. If you know where to go in southern Utah, you can really avoid a lot of the bigger crowds in the national parks because they oftentimes are all going to the same place. And when you've been there for a very long time, you know where to go and how to enjoy it without seeing such big crowds. That helps out a lot. It's a really fantastic trip. I also just got back from the Dolomites. Not this last trip I was on, but the trip right between my Alps trip I did in the Dolomites. We ran another trip that two of our other guides ran a full group, and then I went over for an abbreviated private trip myself. The Dolomites are fantastic. In the Italian Alps, you fly into Venice, Italy, and then out of Venice at the end. We don't actually go out onto the island of Venice during our trip, but a lot of people added on at the beginning or end of their trip for a couple days on their own, or we can arrange guided tours. But the trip that we do, we spend nights in mountain villages, hotel based, lift assisted hiking, amazing scenery. The Dolomites are stunningly beautiful. And we do a combination of picnic lunches and mountain hut lunches, and it really keeps it nice. It's fantastic history there in the Dolomites, stunning views all around. The villages are beautiful, very green. Hillside landscape throughout the villages up into the rugged mountains, and the lifts really get us up into good positions for our hikes. You can see the village here aboard to say, and we're coming up on the red gondola there and exploring up high. A lot of old churches, and center shot down here is hiking through some of the trenches from World War I and exploring some of the World War I outdoor museum sites. Just fantastic. Really great trip, and really fun to run. I know those are booking up again for next September. September's the month that we like in the Dolomites because in August it's quite busy. In the summer month it can be quite busy. August especially can be quite busy. A lot of Europeans on holiday as well as Americans. And in September, when I was just there, crowds are just right down, and you can really enjoy trails again, which we are always trying to do is avoid the most busy times of the year where it's just going to be a crowded experience. We want to go have a little bit more peaceful experience on the trail. Up next for me is going to Nepal. I didn't just come here to Dubai to hang out. I had a couple extra days. It didn't make sense to go home, so I'll be going to Nepal the day after tomorrow. I'm catching up right now on laundry and in the office, all those important things. And then I'll be heading over to take a group to Mount Everest Base Camp. Fantastic trip. There's a full group. I'll be looking forward to meeting when they arrive to Kathmandu in a couple days. We do a trek into Everest Base Camp. We use helicopters to start our journey by flying from Kathmandu directly into the Solo or the lower Khumbu Valley. And then we trek up to Everest Base Camp. And then from a village that's at 14,000 feet in Farishay, we fly back to Kathmandu from there so we don't trek all the way out the bottom to the landing strip. You can see in the upper left-hand pictures the medical clinic that we just cut the ribbon on, basically, and we're not totally done, but it's operational and up and running. We built that up here on the upper left. This is the lecture hall here, and we built that a few years ago, actually during the pandemic, and then we broke ground on the full new medical clinic here, and we cut the ribbon on that last fall. So see some of our groups at Everest Base Camp. Fantastic journey, great villages, staying in, more rustic tea houses on the trail and village to village, and then in beautiful hotels in Kathmandu before and after the trek. So here's another picture of our new medical facility that we built in Farishay, 14,250 feet, and pool. company helped us finance that building. Really appreciate their support in helping our human outreach project programs over there. We built a medical clinic a few years ago in a place called Manang, Nepal. And then I am flying over the day after tomorrow. I'll be there about 5 days before the group. And the reason that I'm going in early is so I can go visit 2 of the villages where we have supported schools, built an addition on a monastery, put in computer centers at those schools and solar power and things like that. So I need to go pay my yearly visit to them and see how they're doing and see what we can do next. We just recently broke ground on an athletic field in one of those mountainous villages, so those kids can get out and play team sports and get out there and have a good time and learn some good lessons playing soccer or football at their school. We did just start a new business called Worldwide Weddings, and that is we've run 3 weddings now, so I figured that we should focus on it a little bit. Worldwide Weddings and Exotic Special Events is something that we'll be launching our new website soon. And it's really something that we can do with small groups to bring them to an exotic place, like in this picture in the Khumbu Valley. They didn't go all the way to Everest Base Camp, but we flew in a helicopter, had a beautiful view of Mount Everest, had a nice wedding ceremony with an amazing helicopter ride after. We could do southern Utah, we could do Tanzania on safari or Kilimanjaro. Anywhere we travel in the world, we can host a special event or a really beautiful wedding ceremony for couples that want to do something a little different on their special day. Coming up too is our annual Veterans Support Program, VOP, the outdoor or the veteran program that we run and operate. We're delivering food supplies to veterans in the Salt Lake area. And we get those veterans identified through the VA, and then we help them with a food delivery the week before Thanksgiving with a gift card so they can do some holiday shopping before the holidays coming up. And then the week before Christmas, we do another food delivery. We usually support around 35 families, and they're larger families with some extended families and even friends. And what we try to do is fill their pantries and provide a good holiday meal so they have some support throughout the holidays. Our annual Hop Gala will be scheduled this December 27th at Snowbird. I will be around throughout the winter, and we'll be doing our gala there at Snowbird as usual between Christmas and the New Year's. And it's really a nice event. It's open to everybody. There's no charge. It's just a time for us to share our annual report and what we've accomplished in a little bit more detail. For the Human Outreach Project, December 27th up in the Golden Cliff at Snowbird, usually starts around 5:30, and we'll be sending out some stuff on that. For myself personally, I do have a knee surgery coming up in November, and that'll put me out of commission for a few months. I'm hoping around 3 with a good rehab program. So after years of ski racing and 30 years on the Snowbird Ski Patrol and doing the avalanche forecasting and mountain rescue, climbing mountains, trekking, my knee has seen better days. And I figured that it was time to take care of it. And I'm hoping for the best in a lot of ways to make sure that I have good recovery and can, get out there and do what I love to do. And my goal is to lead this trip in March to Patagonia. So in Patagonia, we would be my first trip after my knee surgery, March 14th through the 21st. Any of you that would love to join me or like to join me on this trip, it'll be my first after the knee surgery, and I would really love to have a full group of people going down to Patagonia. It's about half full right now, and it'd be really, really nice. I'm going to focus on my recovery very hard, like a job, because this is my livelihood. And it'll be, Hopefully a good trek down there in Patagonia to kick off a next chapter of adventuring with a knee that's in better condition. So March 14th through the 21st, love to have people join that and join me on the comeback trek there after my knee surgery in Patagonia. Here's our building in Salt Lake. We always love it when people stop by or touch base. It's really been nice to have it complete. The driveway a lot easier to get in and out with more parking and things like that. So it's nice to have that up and behind us. It was a long project for a long time. As I said, I really do appreciate the teams around the world that help make these trips possible, no matter where we're going or what we're doing. They really take good care of our guests, and I appreciate it so much, as I do the team in the office and all they do to help us out and help our guests out. And we have a really solid team. They've been with us for a long time, and I really do appreciate all the hard work that they do in helping people get out there, explore the world, take adventures, answer questions, and get them all ready to go. But thanks again for joining me. I'm gonna open it up to questions if anybody has questions. I can check the chats here. Okay. Got one question, I guess. Says, in Ireland, are you only running treks in the spring, or will you do some in the summer months? So, we will do the ones we have planned are in the spring, and the reason that I chose the spring is because of the lack of crowds that time of year and the really nice weather. Usually things in bloom. I like that in the desert as well. But if we found a need, we would add a trek, and if we wanted to, we would also do a private groups as well. But a lot of times somebody will inspire us to start something like, hey, we want to go in July, and then we'll run it in July. Yeah, somebody's asking if I could talk about the November Iceland trip. Joe is asking. Hi, Joe. And yeah, November Iceland. So we had November Iceland trip set up for this next month in November, and we didn't have quite enough signups to run it. And up there, what we're looking to do is see the Northern Lights, which November is the prime time to see the Northern Lights. The Aurora Borealis, and at the same time, we would be doing all of the hikes and things that we do during the day. They do have light. The windows are a little bit shorter. It's not dark all the time. And the combination of the both. So our Iceland trips have been super successful. But what we want to do is make sure that we're continuing to do more, and seeing the Northern Lights is something that's really unique and fun. And I think that something that we want to offer every year. It's oftentimes that new trips like this take a little while to gain traction and people to fit it into their schedule and things like that. So we did have to cancel the trip for this November, but we will be running it in 2025 for sure. Any other questions? Hi, are you leading the October 2025 EBC trek and any September Dolomites treks? I will be seeing about the trek in October of 2025 for Everest Base Camp. I haven't set my schedule there totally, but I usually do at least one. I say that, but last year I did 3 Everest Base Camp treks. And next year, I'll see what I do. I usually lead at least one, like the one I have coming up next week in the fall season. I really like the fall season over there, October into November. I like the later October into November time zone period for me. And also it's asking about the Dolomites. I do, because I didn't lead any of our Dolomites trips this summer. I led one private, but it was a little bit of an abbreviated version of the trip because it was a private. but I will for surely be leading one of the Dolomites next September. And yeah, I'll see what happens in October with Everest Base Camp. And what my plan is, since you're asking about guide schedules here, mine is part of that. I will be going over the guide schedule for all of our guides, including myself, as soon as I get back to Utah in November, and am working through a lot of things this winter. But November time, before the winter, we will have all of the guide schedules worked out for the most part, and then they'll continue to change things and add things as other trips fill up. But all of our guides are professionals, and they all want to know their schedules as well. So Brian, we'll get those all worked out for my return in November, but I do plan on leading at least one of both of those trips next year. Okay, I'm gonna check here. I think that's all my questions. Again, thank you guys for joining me. I really appreciate it. This will come out on YouTube in the next week or so. And for those that couldn't see it, I do really appreciate everybody signing on. It's a pleasure to run trips with all of our groups around the world. I look forward to this next trip to Everest Base Camp. And I look forward to getting that video back from the skydiving in Dubai today. So we'll see how that goes, and I'll post some pictures. But a lot of fun. And thank you all for joining me, and we'll see you next time. Have a great night.